Good afternoon, members. I now call to order the House Committee meeting. Item number 1, confirmation of minutes of meeting. Minutes of the 10th meeting held on December the 16th, 2016. Paper CB2 515/16-17. I have received no proposed amendments as of now. Can I take the minutes as read? No objection, right? The minutes are taken as read. Report on meeting with the CS. There is nothing in particular to report to members. Item 3, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on December 23rd, 2016, paper LS 21/16-17. Legal advisor, please. Madam Chair, thank you. There is only one item on the agenda, and that is the hazardous chemicals control ordinance amendment of Schedule 1 order. And this is to add the chemical HBCD to Part 1 of Schedule 1, so that it will be subject to regulatory regime under the ordinance. And in fact, this is to implement the amendment to the Stockholm Convention. In November 2016, there was a brief submitted to the EA panel regarding this, and members took note of this, and this comes into operation on the 1st of June. Thank you. All right. Do you want to set up a subcommittee on this? If not, then just a reminder that for amendment, the deadline is the meeting on the 8th of February. Next, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on December 30th, paper LS 22/16-17. Legal advisor, please. Madam Chair, there are 2 items of subsidiary legislation. The first one is Banking Disclosure Amendment Rules 2016. The purpose is to give effect to the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision requirements regarding disclosures, and this is going to come into operation on the 31st of March 2017. The second one is the Banking Specification of Class of Exempted Charges Amendment Notice 2016. And this is to add a new charge regarding the over-the-counter derivative transactions. There is a margin for the OTC transactions, as long as the charge doesn't exceed 5% of the total asset value. Then there will be exemption for the requirements regarding charges. And according to the administration, this is to facilitate the AIs to measure up to the Basel Committee requirements regarding securities, and this comes into operation on the 3rd of March 2017. Right, do you want to set up a subcommittee for those 2 items? Dr. Kokaki proposes a subcommittee and a member wishing to join the committee. There will be further circulation of invitations for amendments. The deadline is the 8th of February. Item 5, Business for Council meeting of 11th of January 2017. Paper 8, 16-17, regarding subsidiary legislation and related instruments. The draft has been made available to members. The subcommittee, chairman subcommittee on the public health of the marine parks ordinance Ms. Tenny Chan and Mr. Stephen Ho would like to speak on this, and as chairman of the House Committee, I'll be moving a resolution to take note of the order. Questions. We have 22 questions, 6 oral and 16 written questions. Bill, first and second reading. Arbitration and mediation legislation, third-party funding amendment bill 2016. We're going to have this dealt with on the 13th of January. We don't have any government motion. The members' motions. Proposed resolution by Dr. Lower Kwok under Section 34.4 of the Interpretation General Clauses Ordinance in relation to the Construction Workers Registration Exemption Regulation and Construction Workers Registration Ordinance, Amendment of Schedule 1 and 1A, Notice 2016. The wording of the proposed resolution has been issued vide LC paper number CB 3250/1617 dated January the 3rd, 2017. This is to extend the deadline to the 8th of February. The second motion is by Mr. Leung Yu-jung, striving to make sign language an official language of Hong Kong. And the third motion by Mr. Kwok Wai-keung, expectations for the next chief executive. Item 7, under 49B, the investigation committee set up regarding Dr. Ching Chong Tai. Para 11 has set out the proposals regarding setting up this committee. We don't have to set up a preparatory committee to make preparation for the investigation committee. We will be adopting the part 2 of the paper, and we will be adopting the same election process similar to the crop, CMI, and PAC, and we're going to the election procedures for electing the members the election will take place on the 20th of January, and I'm calling upon members to subscribe to the proposals in the paper. Unless members have any questions, we proceed accordingly. All right, let's come back to item 6, beg your pardon. Business for Council meeting of 18th of January 2017. A, CE's policy address. Chief Executive will be delivering his policy address on the 18th of January. Members' motions. Proposed resolution by Ms. Claudia Mo under 34.4 of the Interpretation General Clauses Ordinance in relation to the Public Health Animals and Birds Animal Traders Amendment Regulation 2016 commencement notice. The wording of the resolution has been issued via LC paper number CB 3252/16-17 dated January the 3rd, 2017. The resolution is to repeal the commencement notice. Well, the Chief Executive delivers his policy address. Well, this is to inform members of the business on the 18th of January. Now, I'd like to say something about the pledges that the Chief Executive failed to deliver. Well, you should talk with Mrs. Carrie Lam. Mr. Leung, the purpose of having this item is for members to agree that on the 18th of January, we're going to listen to the policy address of the Chief Executive. Now, you should talk with the CS about the list of pledges that C.Y. Leung hasn't quite delivered. Are you going to do that? The list is exceedingly long. Over the past 4 years, I've been asking questions about the BVI company. Mr. Leung, on the 19th of January, we're going to have CE's question time. You may wish to raise your question on that occasion. There are 3 items that have been made available to members. If members would like to speak, please. The deadline is January the 10th before 5. Item 7. The Chief Executive's Q&A session on the 19th of January 2017. It will take place between 10:30 to 12. Reports of Bills Committee and Subcommittee. Reports of Subcommittee on Solicitors Professional Indemnity Amendment Rules 2016, Solicitors Practice Amendment Rules 2016, paper CB4, 369, 16 to 17. Mr. Odin Chow, Chairman of the Subcommittee. Madam Chair, the Subcommittee has completed its work. The deliberations are set out in the report circulated to members. The Solicitors Professional Indemnity Amendment Rules 2016 seeks to amend Cap 159M, Solicitors Professional Indemnity Rules, to, among others, improve the daily operation of the Solicitors Indemnity Fund, offer better protection to the public, and to rectify typos and grammatical errors in the ordinance. And the Solicitors Practice Amendment Rules 2016 seeks to amend Section 2B3 D3 of the Chinese version of Solicitors Practice Rules to correct the Chinese rendition of CAAO from 中國委任的見證人員 to 中國委託公證人. As the reserve has built up to some $2 billion, members urged the board to reduce the annual contributions to alleviate the financial burden of solicitors. The SC will not move any amendments. Thank you. B. Report of the Subcommittee on Public Health, Animals and Birds, Animal Traders Amendment Regulation 2016, commencement notice CB 2517/16 to 17. I'd like to call upon Dr. Elizabeth Kwok, Chairman of the Subcommittee. Madam Chair, the commencement notice is made by the SFH under Section 1 of the Public Health, Animals and Birds, Animal Traders Amendment Regulation 2016 to appoint March the 20th, 2017 as the day on which the amended regulation comes into operation. The subcommittee discussed, among others, the following issues. 1. Compliance with the requirements under the enhanced licensing regime. 2. The administration's readiness to implement the new regulatory regime. 3. AFCD authorized officers' inspection of licensed premises. Some members supported an early implementation of the revamped regulatory regime to bring dog breeding for sale under a licensing regime. Other members, however, objected to this in view of the many what they considered to be outstanding issues. Ms. Claudia Mo did suggest that the commencement notice be repealed, but that was voted down by the committee. Ms. Mo has given notice to move a resolution at the council meeting on January the 18th to have a commencement notice repealed. The subcommittee's deliberations are set out in the paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth Kwok. I just want to remind members that for the 3 items of subsidiary legislation scrutinized by the 2 subcommittees, the deadline for amendments will expire on the 18th of January. If you would like to move amendments, the deadline will be the 11th of January, Wednesday. Next, position on Bills Committee and Subcommittees, paper CB bracket 2516. As of Thursday, there are 3 Bills Committee in motion, and then another 13 subcommittees under the House Committee, as well as 5 subcommittees under the panels. On the waiting list, we have got 5 subcommittees to look into policies. Item 10, arrangements for meeting conventions between NEDCO members and District Council members. Paper CB bracket 4, 375/16 to 17. I'd like to consult your views as to whether you would agree to the proposals in paragraphs 6, 7, and 8. No comments, no questions. Paper endorsed. Item 11, arrangements for meeting cum luncheons between LegCo members and Hangyu Cook councillors. Paper CB bracket 4, 376/16-17. Again, I would like to seek your views as to whether you would agree with the proposals in paragraph 4. All right, no comments. All right, the paper has been approved. Next, this is in relation to the establishment of the investigation committee under Rule 49B2A of the Rules of Procedure in respect of the motion to censure Dr. Honorable Cheng Chong-tai. Just now, I have already sought your views, and no members have got any views concerning that paper. If there are no further questions, then the paper can be endorsed. And I would like to suggest to members that in relation to the relevant procedures, the Secretariat will, at least 7 clear working days prior to the election involved, send out nomination forms to invite your nominees. Item 13. Mr. Yu Chung Yim would like to seek the approval of the House Committee to ask an urgent question at the LegCo meeting to be held on the 11th of January in relation to the alleged damage done to Charlotte Tong in Tai Po. So paper CB bracket 2 548/16-17 bracket 01. Mr. Yim. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, for Charlotte Tong in Tai Po, more than 20 years ago, the Hong Kong government has already regarded it as the second most valuable ecological site, and it has also been regarded as a priority conservation area as well as a site of scientific interest. Well, in the latest report on biodiversity, high regards have been given to this particular site, which is of special scientific interest. Probably you have already noted from the papers that the year before last, someone have been found to be deliberately destroying the environment, like fly tipping, planting inappropriate species, causing serious damage to Charlotte Tong. According to my understanding, the Environmental Protection Department has already issued a notice to demand certain action. However, for more than a year's time, the illegal activities have not been stopped or rectified, and in fact the damage is extended to the government land. It has been found that no enforcement action has been taken concerning the government land. Now, this is supposed to be the second most important site, and yet the degree of damage is getting very serious. My understanding is that in 2012, there was this Road Development Fund making a suggestion that it could be possible to have a non-in-situ exchange of land, but then there has been delays and deferrals time and again. It has been found that 95% of the interests are in the hands of a particular company. Your time is up. I just want to seek your advice. That is, would you agree with Dr. Yu? That is, he be allowed to ask an urgent question? Well, in accordance with our rules of procedures, if it is urgent and it has a very strong public interest, then members can ask the President for approval without giving notice to raise a question. So does any member wish to speak on this matter? Please press the button to speak. Dr. K.K. Kwok, 1 minute. Madam Chair, I support Dr. Yu's request to ask an urgent question. For Charlotte Tong, it has been damaged continuously. For the ecological value of Charlotte Tong, if we don't take it seriously and if we don't find a way to conserve it, it will disappear in no time. Therefore, we have to arrest the ecological impact, and we must ask the relevant government official to come here to answer our questions. Moreover, I will ask the government departments, whether the Lands Department, EPD, or other relevant policy bureaus, they should also come up with urgent remedial action. Now we are talking about a highly variable ecological site. We are getting fewer and fewer of them, and yet the place is being damaged in an unlawful manner. We must face the problem squarely, so I hope that we can be given approval to ask an urgent question. Mr. Jeremy Tam, I think we all know that sometimes the damage done would be irreversible. Now, for this particular place, of course, we know that it is a SSSI, and it should be given priority in terms of conservation. Now, the damage has been done, but before that is to be allowed to expand, we should find a way to ask for the reaction from the government. So I agree that there should be an urgent question. Mr. Nathan Law, thank you, Madam Chair. I think irrespective of our political views, we would all favor conservation. And then for SSSI sites, we should do our best to conserve the site. Now, I agree that we should be allowed to ask an urgent question. This is because Shalodong is being damaged, and probably developers are working for their private gains. It has been said that some developers would like to develop a columbarium in Shalodong. Therefore, I believe that we have to act swiftly. At least the LegCo should discuss as to what can be done to protect Shalodong. We need to conserve Shalodong, and we shouldn't allow personal gain to jeopardize the site. Mr. Gary Chen. Madam Chair, well, for the development and conservation of Shalodong, it has always attracted a lot of public attention. But of course, Dr. Yu has referred to certain problems. Indeed, it is an urgent issue. However, if we just ask an oral question in the form of an urgent question, we'll only have 20 minutes, and not two members can ask supplementary questions, and then the depth of the discussion will not be adequate. I would suggest that Dr. Yu take up the matter at the relevant panel. Let's have a dedicated time slot for this item. In this way, more LegCo members can take part to ask questions, and we can have a more thorough discussion. Thank you. All right. Does any other member wish to speak on this topic? Yes, you do have 1 minute to give a reply, Dr. Yu. If no other members would like to speak, well, I've heard different views. Is that right, Mr. Chen Hak Ken? You don't agree? Madam Chair, I believe that he should take it up within the relevant panel meeting. Yes, there are different views. Dr. Yu, you've listened to the different views. I've got 1 minute to give a reply, and then we'll put the matter to the vote to make a decision. Dr. Yu. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to point out that it can't wait. We cannot wait for our panel meeting. We can't go through that procedure. This is because 95% of the land interests are in the hands of a particular landowner, and he has adopted a high profile. Now, only 5.5 months are left. If the government is not going to implement the non-in-situ land exchange, he's going to break up the site and sell it to a number of landowners. Once the land is to be held in several landowners, then nothing can be done to reverse the trend. So it's not a matter of we can afford to wait for a panel meeting. Now, this is the second most important ecological site in Hong Kong. Therefore, we must immediately hold a discussion as to how to stop this. Well, Dr. Yu, you can liaise with the panel chair as to whether there is an urgent need to have a special meeting of the panel. But then Dr. Yu has already made a proposal here, so House Committee has to vote on the matter. Does anybody claim a division? Mr. Leung Kwok Hong claims a division. The bell will be rung for 5 minutes.
咁佢哋財會有冇做啲？冇嘅，所以係一個兩難，係嘛？你而家幾多？你預一個鐘3:30，係啦，大家我都話咧，水上玩其實水嚟嘅啫，水嚟。是否同意？即係同意與從唔我提醒議員。
I would like to remind members that the question before us is, do you agree with Dr. Yu that is the approval from the HC be sought to ask an urgent question at the meeting to be held on the 11th of January in relation to the alleged damage done to Sha Law Tong in Tai Po? So if you agree, that means we give approval.
Will
members please proceed to vote? Please press the white button to indicate your presence before you vote on the motion. Before I bring this voting to a close, please check your votes. Voting now ends. Will the Secretary display the results? 24 for, 27 against, 5 abstentions. The proposal has been voted down. There are no other business. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all very much.